Okay, we're still a day or so away from receiving the impact of Hurricane Irma. We finished boarding up the house except for these two doors that I'm going to board up as soon as we're through using them. There's Athena helping me. All the windows boarded up, giving them one final check. And there's some doors that are boarded up. Perfectly done, of course, with the help of Tim. Precision cuts on these boards, I might add. There's a look at the pool. All the stuff thrown into the pool to keep it from flying around. And going around the backyard, looking up on the deck, there's a big picture window that Tim and I covered. And I have a ladder going up to the roof so that we can secure a few things on the roof. Kind of hard carrying the camera up to the roof with me, but I got to do it for you guys. And I'm going to use this green tarp that used to be used for a welding shield. I'm going to cut it up and use it to cover the plastic skylights that are looking down into my lab at my house. The lab is where I keep all my valuable videos, my old videos from the 70s and 80s that I want to show all my premium subscribers. So I don't want a branch to come along and hit one of those plastic skylights and break it, and then water come in and soak everything in my lab, including those videos. So we're cutting the tarp, approximately the shape of the skylight, and we're working on the first skylight. I'm sure I'll get better at this as I do the second, third, and fourth skylight, but this is how I figure I'm going to do this right now. I'm using an adhesive called Power Grab, and it's very strong. People are telling me how awesome Power Grab is. So I'm just going to line the edges of the plastic skylight with this Power Grab, and then I'm going to fasten the tarp right down to the edges of the skylight so that if something hits the skylight, hopefully that'll help keep out most of the water. Alright, so there's the adhesive. Place the tarp right over the skylight and start pressing down the edges. Now once this adhesive is solid and glues this tarp on, that tarp is never coming off. So I guess I'll have to cut the tarp off if I want to use those skylights again. But the skylights are pretty old, and I can probably replace those skylights soon anyway. But even if all I do is just cut the tarp off later, it won't really be any big deal because there'll just be a little bit of that green tarp still glued to the skylight. But I'm going to leave all this stuff on here for the rest of the hurricane season. We want to be prepared if any more hurricanes come. So that looks pretty good. I think that's going to work. So we'll just take the trimmed parts of the tarp and toss it over the roof into the yard. There's going to be plenty of cleanup to do anyway once this hurricane is over. So let's go down to skylight number 2 and do the same thing. We'll put a bead of Power Grab all around the skylight, and then apply the tarp, press down the edges, make sure it's firmly attached, and move on to skylight. Oh, I just tripped on my shoelace, and I cracked this skylight a little bit when I fell on it. I can't really see the crack, but I know I heard it crack. That's not going to help. A little sarcasm. All right. Well, we'll just glue the tarp down extra good, especially around that area where I fell on it. And here we go. Let's move on to skylight number 3. First, we put the bead of Power Grab all the way around. Now we're working on a bit of a slant here on the roof, So that was one of the things that caused me to trip, besides stepping on my shoelace, is my balance is a little bit mixed up here. But let's just get the tarp positioned over the skylight. I'm listening to the radio the whole time I'm doing this. You can hear that kind of in the background, with your little bing bong warning that there's bad weather coming. Now here we are on number 4. Getting pretty good at it. This is trimming the tarp. And put the adhesive on there just like we did the other 3. And we're ready to position the tarp over the skylight. What do you think, Tim? Am I doing a good job? Tim suggested I do this, by the way. Now Tim didn't think that the tarp that I chose, this welding shield, was really going to do much. He thought it might be too permeable. But I don't have anything else. So it's got to do better than nothing, right? Trim it up. We don't want too much of this tarp flapping in the wind during the hurricane. And we have one more thing to cover here, and that's the chimney. So we've got just enough tarp left to cover the chimney. So I'll position the tarp over the open areas of the chimney and get it ready to screw down. You know, the wind is blowing up pretty good now, so I've got to put a couple of screws in this thing just to hold it down. And then I'm going to permatize it with little wood blocks. See these wood blocks I'm screwing in there? So we're holding the tarp onto the chimney with wood blocks. That'll keep it from coming off. Now the front side that you're seeing and the side that I'm working on now are pretty easy, but this back side doesn't have anywhere to stand. It's right on the edge of the roof, which is higher than the roof where the ladder is now. So I have to go up on a ladder. I had to bring it up from the ground, and I can work from the ladder and just screw these wood blocks right on the chimney. Okay, now my ladder is kind of on top of the tarp, and I want to trim the tarp off. So I gotta kind of bounce off of this thing and pull the tarp out. I know my sister won't like me doing that, because you don't want to go over backwards. You don't want to pull off too much, right? That's where being a Walinda flying family member kind of comes in. You know what, I'm looking at this and it's really a pretty good job. I just trim off the last bits of this tarp. I bet Tim would be very proud of this. What do you think, Tim? Did I do a good job? Think that'll be there when I get back? You think Hurricane Irma is any match for the covering on my chimney? Now we're looking down on the first level of the roof, and the skylights there, and the glass skylights on the rest of the roof, as well as the skylights that I just covered with the green tarp. Okay, and we've got to get the ladder off the roof now. It'll be a little easier taking it down than it was bringing it up. Taking it down, I'll just climb down the ladder and kind of drop this ladder down to the ground, and then climb the rest of the way down. I'll lay this ladder down on the ground so it doesn't blow around in the wind. We're looking at downtown Orlando. It's about 1 or 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. And you can see there's still some people riding along on the interstate trying to get where they're going. And it's just a good solid rain right now. Karen and David have parked their RV right here next to my building, and it's a good place because, as you can see, the
the rains are coming from the east. So we're protected by the building. I'm facing the west right now, so that means the building is protecting us from these east winds and rains. So as we get over here, let me see if I can find a place I can shoot this. See, the rains are coming down the street. They're coming down Jefferson Street from the east to the west. You just see them. You see the rains moving westerly. The winds are blowing to the west. And we are protected by the overhang. And get out there real quick and get back. So it's perfectly calm underneath the overhang here at Creative Engineering. Apparently I got some water on my lens here. There we go. Here at good old 47 West.
So this is officially the first squall from Hurricane Irma that we're feeling. It's getting pretty strong. But we'll have a bunch of these squalls. It'll be strong like this for a while and then very calm. And then we'll have another one. Until finally the hurricane is really in town. So I'll try to keep you up to date as to what's going on at Creative Engineering. We do have a couple of vulnerable areas on the roof at Creative Engineering that I'll be worrying about. So stay tuned, and I'll continue sending my updates to everybody, not just the premium subscribers, because I appreciate everybody who's pulling for me and us, and wishing luck to the rest of Florida.